The Trump administration's startling decision to abandon one of the Affordable Care Act's most popular provisions, protections for people with pre-existing medical conditions, put Republicans on the defensive Friday and handed Democrats a potentially potent political message. Democrats had already made health care a major focus in their campaigns heading into November's midterm elections, with polls consistently showing it as a top issue among voters. Now, the Justice Department's stance in a federal court case in Texas will allow Democrats to argue that Republicans want to deny affordable health coverage to some of the people who need it most. Late Thursday, the department said the health law's requirement that most Americans carry insurance will become unconstitutional next year, and so will consumer protections forbidding insurers to deny coverage to sick customers or charge them more. Subscribe to the Post-Most newsletter. Today's most popular stories on the Washington Post. The administration's legal stance injects profound uncertainty into the political debate and the healthcare landscape at a critical moment, just as insurance companies are developing rates for the coming year and as candidates head into a summer campaign season that both parties will try to use to solidify a foothold for their agendas. The fresh potential that the courts could deliver a significant blow to the ACA arises after a years-long perseverance by Republicans to repeal much of the sprawling 2010 statute ended in failure a year ago, leading GOP attorneys general, governors and the Trump administration to turn to the courts and administrative actions to undermine the law. Republicans on Capitol Hill had no advance warning that the administration was going to assert that protections for people with pre-existing conditions is unconstitutional, a position that defies President Trump's promises to maintain those protections. Most Republicans on Friday insisted they continued to support coverage for people with pre-existing conditions, such as high blood pressure, diabetes and cancer. The policy, unlike some elements of the Affordable Care Act, has widespread support, affecting approximately 52 million Americans under the age of 65, according to a 2016 analysis by the Kaiser Family Foundation. Several Republicans expressed bewilderment at the notion that this protection could be declared unconstitutional or overturned. "I certainly do not believe the provision on pre-existing conditions is unconstitutional. I don't even understand what the legal argument would be," said Representative Leonard Lansar NJ, one of the most endangered Republican incumbents in the midterms. "I have always favored coverage for pre-existing conditions and will continue to do so," Lance said, adding he would urge the administration to back off their new legal stance. But Democrats were already pouncing. "I'm astounded, and it's not only recklessness on lots of scores in terms of the legal reasoning," said Representative Gerald E. Connolly Deva. "But it's also political malpractice because you've handed us an issue we will ride into the sunset." Senate Minority Leader Charles E. Schumer DNY released a letter with other top Democratic senators demanding the administration reverse the move, while the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee wasted no time blasting out news releases questioning whether Republican candidates agreed with the administration. Privately, some Republicans involved with midterm races expressed frustration at the move. "I don't understand why the White House would do this, and no one is communicating how they want people to navigate this issue," said one Republican strategist working on Senate races, who demanded anonymity to speak freely. "Pre-existing conditions is something everyone agreed we should keep. Picking this fight going into the summer of an election year is mind-boggling." In many ways, the political fight over health care during the midterms had started before Thursday night, with Democrats already accusing Republicans of trying to snatch health coverage from American consumers. Republicans, in turn, were focused on calls by liberals such as Senator Bernard Sanders of Vermont to establish a single-payer health care system, suggesting that would become the Democrats' agenda if they were to regain power. Insurers are now in the midst of deciding whether to participate in the individual marketplaces created under the law in 2019 and, if so, what filing rates with state regulators will be. A central rule of ACA health plans is that they must welcome all customers, healthy and sick, and not charge higher premiums to those with pre-existing conditions. The possibility that a Texas judge could, at the administration's urging, wipe out this rule, with an inevitable appeal to higher courts, introduces a new source of instability that insurers detest. America's Health Insurance Plans, the main trade group for the industry, immediately denounced this prospect. Removing those provisions will result in renewed uncertainty in the individual market, create a patchwork of requirements in the states, cause rates to go even higher for older Americans and sicker patients, and make it challenging to introduce products and rates for 2019, Matt Iles, a HIP's president and CEO, said Friday in a statement. Iles said that OHIP plans to file a brief in the case laying out more detail about the harm that would come to millions of Americans if the request to invalidate the ACA is granted. According to health policy experts, a court ruling in favor of the suing GOP states and the administration would trigger what one called immediate chaos in